Hello, my dear students. Greetings of the day. Welcome to Bangla Shikha Classroom 2024, an endeavor of Postim Bongo Samogro Shikha Mission under the Education Department, Government of West Bengal. I am Mita Dotto, Assistant Teacher of Dokhinesha Sri Sri Sharoda Devi Balika Vidya Mandir. Today it's your English class of class 10 and we are going to do the lesson Sea Fever by John Masefield. Please open your textbooks to page 48 so that as we go through the slides, you can understand the poem better by connecting with the lines. For any poem or any literary piece, it is very important to know about the poet or the author. Here the writer of Sea Fever is John Edward Masefield. He was born in Hertfordshire. He studied at Warwick School and then he trained himself as a merchant seaman. So, after returning to London, when he began writing poems, he started describing his experience as sea. So in his poem also we will see him mentioning that I want to go to the sea again. So that's because he already has experience of sea. Masefield was appointed the British Poet Laureate in 1930 and till his death in 1967 he continued to be the Poet Laureate. He was best known for his poems of the saltwater ballads, and Sea Fever is included in his long series of narrative poems. So Sea Fever is also a part of saltwater ballads, and other Everlasting Mercy is another series of poems which he is known for. Now today, we are going to do the Sea Fever by John Masefield as I already mentioned to you. Before going into the poem, we should know the background of the poem. In the poem, we see the sea fever, the author has intense love for the sea or ocean. And as we go through the poem, we will see the author's inner proximity to the sea. He was sometime a mariner, and from the poem, we see that marine life makes him feel at home. So though he is not at sea at present, he feels a continuous attraction and a call from the sea to go back to the sea again. And he has very less wants. He just wants a very strong ship that can take him over through the dark sea, and he needs a pole star to guide him. You know, the mariners use mariner's compass to show them the way through the sea. So once when there was no compass, the mariners used to use the pole star as their guide. Having sailed before, the poet is so impatient to return to the sea that it means that the past journeys that he had was very close to his heart. He liked the independent existence of the sea, and as we see, please refer to the first lines, he said, I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky. So he says, I must go down to the seas again, which means that he had already been to the sea before. The word again stresses on that. So why is it a lonely sea? There may be two implications. Once that the sea is feeling lonely because the author is not there, the author is a sea lover, so the sea is lonely without his presence. Or it may also mean the huge expanse of the sea in which we human beings are very small and very lonely. And he needs the sky above him. the sky in which the pole star will be there to guide him. And he doesn't want much other than a sturdy ship that can actually bear the struggles of the sea, the dangers of the sea, the huge sea waves, the storms, and the wheels kick and the wind song, and the white sails shaking, and a grey mist on the sea face, and a grey dawn breaking. So what is the wheels kick? When the wheel of the ship moves, which means that the ship has started moving, and when the ship starts moving, there should be a wind supporting the ship to move, and also that in the huge expanse of the ocean, there is nothing around. And later also we will see the quality of wind, which is very strong there in the ocean, and a grey dawn breaking. So we see the grey color is very prominent here. When we visualize a sea, when you close your eyes and visualize a sea, we see the vast expanse, the reflection of the sky on the sea. At places it is blue, at places the water seems to be grey. And when the dawn is just starting, before that it is dark, slightly the light comes up. So all the background is grey, and when the sun comes out, it is orange, it is yellowish. You know the dawn, how it is a mixture of the color yellow and orange. So the sun comes up in that background, and it is a very beautiful scene. So he wants that. So he wants to be in the sea for a very long time, so that the sun goes down there, so that the dawn breaks there. I must go down to the sea again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. See, the word, the phrase, I must go to the seas again, is repeated in every stanza. It just depicts the poet's urgency, the hungrier. Experiences of his past journey has made him hungrier to get back to the sea. That's why he says over and over again that I must go down to the sea. He passionately insists that he must go down to the sea to be happy, because the life which he is in is not making him satisfied. Sea depicts freedom. So the call of the sea, what he is saying, the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. You know the moon, it just makes the tides happen in the sea. So when there is low tide, when there is high tide, the ship sails in certain ways. So he is getting attracted by the call of the tides. So when he is thinking of the sea, he is thinking of the tides. And it's like the tides are calling him. It feels like a wild call that he cannot deny. It's not a very calm call. Why is it a wild call? Because it makes him feel wild to leave his present stature and go out into the sea. That's why he cannot deny the call. And flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. See, all these are pictures and images of the sea. When you think of a sea and a ship going through the sea, you can visualize the foams as the sea approaches, as the ship approaches into the sea. There are lots of white foams around the ship. And there are also big waves coming and banging into the body of the ship, which creates a spring-like effect, which the author is saying flung spray. And also the seagulls crying. Seagulls are a bird. They are more seen on the seashore and flying over the sea. So seagulls are much associated with sea life. And every moment the poet is seeing the images that are very much pertinent to the sea, and he feels that all of them are calling them, and he is in no way in a position to deny that call. He wants to answer that call. Now, what I have explained in the poem till now, the speaker wants to travel. We just get a synopsis of the poem. The speaker wants to travel desperately on a lonely sea without anyone's company. Just note from the beginning, we had the word lonely, which means the poet is just wanting nobody else's company. He himself is enough to give company to the sea. And then in his big ship as stars at guide, it is seen that he personifies the ship as a lady. What is personification? When an inanimate object is given life, he is calling the ship as she. That's why he is giving her the personified image of a lady who is helping the speaker to sail through the oceans. And the pole star, it is a symbol of constancy and permanence. Because tides may come, tides may go, the poet may go into the ship, travel in the ship may travel, the ship may not travel, but the pole star will be there in its own place every day. So it is a symbol of permanence, and it acts as a guide. And somehow it feels that the poet gets spiritual fulfillment in all of them. He gets a spiritual fulfillment in existing in the sea, going back to the sea, having a good ship, and having a pole star to guide him. And the freedom of the open sea and his attraction towards adventure. Sea life is not so easy. We will come to know in the later two stanzas that it is not at all a very calm and peaceful life. There are struggles too. But yet his love for the sea resonates in his ear. When the wind is strong, the wheel moves with a jerk, that is called the wheel's kick, and the wind is seemingly singing a beautiful song. There are strong winds in the ocean, which the poet can feel, and he feels it like the beautiful song of the wind. He intends to enjoy the early morning mist that rises from the sea along with the breaking of dawn. As I already explained to you, among the grey background of the sea, among the darkness, gradually light comes up, and the poet sees the dawn breaking. And his desperation for going to the sea and living in the sea is perhaps complete and successful when he is among so much of beauty. The call of all these things is a kind of emotional bonding between the sea and the speaker. And he also wishes that there are strong winds and white clouds. You know, white clouds, they do not depict a bad weather. We have bad weather, lots of rain, storms when the clouds are dark. So when there is a wind, when there is a strong wind to help this ship sail, and when there are white clouds, he thinks it to be an ideal condition for the ship to sail through very majestically. See here what we were calling the flung spray. The flung spray and the blown spume. It looks something like the first picture that you are seeing. And just see how gorgeous this is. And see how gorgeous the ship. This is the second picture. It's taken from your text pages. And see how the vast expanse of the sea gives us the feeling of freedom, gives us the feeling of the huge existence of the sea. And the poet feels, see, one seagull is also seen to fly there. And there are, in the next lines, we come across the whales also, which the poet wants to be. He tells them to be he tells the sea to be the gull's way and the whale's way. The sea belongs to these sea animals and birds, and he also wants to be there. So this is a beautiful depiction of the gorgeous presence of the sea, the independence it gives, the freedom it gives. Now again, I ask you to look into the third stanza, and perhaps the most important and metaphorical stanza of this poem. Please look into your textbooks. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick is over. So here too we see, he is again starting the stanza with the same line, I must go to the seas again. And now he is wishing to live the life of a wandering gypsy. You know, the gypsy has no limitations to cover him or her under the monotonous activities of life. A gypsy is free to wander about and get disturbed by no one and live his or her way of independent life. So here the speaker starts the stanza with wanting to be a gypsy with no one disturbing him. He expresses his feeling that he wants to be free like a seagull and the whale and follow their path. So a seagull, a bird, either it's on the seashore, the huge seashore, looking after its food and playing with other seagulls, or there is the whale swimming into the depth of the sea, swimming into the surface of the sea, wherever different whales live, different styles of their life in the sea. So whatever they wish, wherever they want to go, they are free to do. So he expresses to be free like them. See, here I have given a picture of the sea whales. Here to see, when we see a whale swimming in the deep depth of waters, there is somewhere for us also a very emotional relief, a bonding with nature. See how peaceful their existence is, with no monotony of life touching them. So, this way, the way they live their life, the poet wishes to be there with them. And then we see that in the second line, after wanting to live a vagrant gypsy life, he says, where the wind is like a whetted knife. Now, what does whetted means? Whetted, what does a knife mean? Knife is a sharp object with which you can tear things apart. So, a knife doesn't give us a very safe or very good or very peaceful expression of things. A sharp knife, the wind is compared to that. So, the poet may be attracted towards the peaceful and beautiful life of a sea, which he is attracted towards. But it is also true that the whetted knife or the sharp knife, the winds feeling like a whetted knife, cutting through the body when the wind touches the body, gives a symbol of the struggles of a sea life. There are harsh weathers, there are big waves, and there may be so many other reasons when life in a ship seems to be quite dangerous and full of struggle. So the whetted knife signifies the wind's indomitable and cooling sensation, makes him feel that it may be more dangerous than a powerful, sharp-pointed knife. So here, in the last stanza, we come up not only to the beauty of the sea, but also the struggles of the sea life. And then he says that he wants nothing else than to hear a cheerful story from a fellow wanderer. he would want to meet somebody who is as much eager to flow in the ship, to go in the ship as himself. He cannot hear good stories from any common man, any man who doesn't feel that attraction towards the sea. So, in the penultimate line, and all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, he yearns to have, but wants to have a merry yarn, a very cheerful story from a fellow rover, a fellow seafarer, a fellow person who would want to go and enjoy the sea as he does, and end the journey in that way. And end the journey how? He wants to be free from the busy world and go into a sleep, a quiet sleep after the long trick is over. Now here the trick may be shown as having two meanings. Here it may mean after his long day at sea, at the wheels, when he is on duty, when he is on watch into the sea, he finishes his work and then he goes to rest. And when he goes to rest, he will dream of the nice day he had at sea. But again, that I will come a bit afterwards. I explain to you the significance of the title. I will come to you at the metaphorical meaning of the last line, which will help us to see the whole poem in a different angle. Now let us come to the significance of the title. It's sea fever. So when we hear the word fever, it is some ailment, it is some disease. So why sea fever? You must be thinking. So fever is what? Fever is that which afflicts someone. Fever is something which we cannot shake off. If we are diseased, a fever will come. So for the poet, his feeling, his attraction towards the sea, it seems like a fever, a disease that he cannot shake off. Whatever he is doing, no matter how safely he is, he has absolutely no control over his feelings. Just like we have no control over fever if it comes upon us. So that's why the sea fever title explained to us that the speaker feels likewise as one feels when one has fever. It is obvious that he repeats the stanza, he repeats the phrase, I must go to the sea again, over and over. And this urge of going to the sea, that he repeats the phrase again and again, that just justifies that he is really having a fever and he cannot shake off that idea from him. It refers to the way some people desire to see the sea and be close to it and sail upon it. Here, it's his wanderlust, or like it's his lust, his wish, his intensity, his want for going back to the fever, that is going back to the sea, that is feeling like a fever to him. So therein lies the significance of the title Sea Fever. Now what is the message from the poem? All of us are very eager to go for traveling. We love traveling, we love adventures. So in this poem, from the beginning till the end, we see there is a message of travel, adventure, exploration, and memories. We see nostalgia also. The poem begins with, I want to go back to the seas again. So this again means that he has past memories of his sailing into the sea. So this is also important for us, that when we have good memories, that leads us to want or wish our future course of journeys. So, students, we should all make it a point to make good memories, do good things, so that all our memories lead us to do more fruitful and more good jobs, which we really feel peaceful and nice about. And then I explained to you about fever. So it's his urge for any one of us, if we urge to do anything with so much intensity that it cannot be shaken off, then it's like a fever that sits on us. I talked about nostalgia. The speaker is reminiscing the past sea journeys, which also reinforces that the speaker did something that he liked very much, and that's why he is desperate to do it in spite of the struggles involved in it. Now coming to the last line, here and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick is over. It can be also seen as a symbolic journey across the sea of life. The poet does not paint a very beautiful and nice picture of the sea only. He is attracted by its beauty, by its presence, but it also through the word whetted knife. He uses this powerful image which means a violent object and which symbolizes the hardships of sea. And we can also equate it to the journey of life, the journey through the sea of life, where of course we don't always have good memories, we don't always have good adventures. There are struggles, but yes, the struggles should not stop us. That is one message. Even if the poet feels the sharp knife-like winds on his body, which is of course not very comfortable, likewise, in life's journey, we all have ups and downs, but because of the struggles, we should not go back on doing something. We should face the challenges of life and know the ways to handle it. So, the last line changes the direction of the poet somewhere, and it may mean also, the quiet sleep may mean also death, which ultimately after the long trick is over means after, what do you mean by trick? After all our activities, all our jobs, all that we are to do in this world, all that we are to do when we sail through the sea of life, all that we do, after the end of it, we should end it in such a way that it seems like a sweet dream. When it's all over, we should be satisfied by what we have done when we were working. So the speaker is implying that life is a long sea journey and is requesting a peaceful afterlife. And you know, we can only be peaceful, we can sleep peacefully only if we do good work, positive thinking. So we can say the last line is a bit ambiguous. The word trick in sailing terms also, there is this word trick, which refers to watch at sea. 4 hours of watching and 8 hours of rest. Someone has to be vigilant for 4 hours and has to rest for 8 hours. We may take the meaning of the last line just at its face value and think the poet is meaning that after his work of watching at sea is over, he goes down to rest and wants a proper rest with a sweet dream. Life can be so simple, like working and going to sleep. However, in a broader perspective, we may see the long trick as life in general. As I was telling you, a life which will lead us to a quiet, peaceful sleep, which is death. And why peaceful? Peaceful because we have lived our life modestly and humbly and truly. And of course, we should be better equipped to deal with any storms that may come in our life. So that is a great message that we may have from the poem. So this is the poem, the synopsis of the poem, the message of the poem. You may go through the poem line by line to understand its essence, and while reading with the poem, you will go down into the sea to understand his feeling, and along with it, the feelings of life and death, the feelings of living life modestly and going into a peaceful and satisfactory sleep. So this is for the poem. Now, we go into the grammar part, where you have in your previous classes, like from 7 only, you have learned the types of sentences, change of sentences. So here too, you have in your grammar for use, complex and simple sentences, changing them, and assertive sentence. So I will tell you in short what these are, so that you may go into the exercises that are given there and a lot more exercises from outside also to enhance your skill of grammar. So what is a simple sentence? A simple sentence has only one subject and one predicate. One subject and one object. She reads a book, for example. She is the subject here, reads is the verb here, and object or predicate is the book. So when a sentence has just one subject, one predicate, it's a simple sentence. What is a complex sentence? In a complex sentence, there is one clause, one independent clause, followed by a dependent clause. And now what is clause? To understand this, a group of words that contain a subject and a verb, like a simple sentence, is also a clause, which makes sense on its own. That is a clause. So in clause, we have two divisions, a dependent clause and an independent clause. Independent clause is when a sentence makes sense on its own. For example, it's there, I went to school. But a dependent clause is that, a clause which cannot exist without the previous clause. It depends on the previous clause to make its meaning clear. So in the second sentence, it's although I wasn't feeling well, I went to school. So this although I wasn't feeling well, this is a dependent clause because it depends on the sentence I went to school. Without I went to school, if you say although I wasn't feeling well, there is no meaning by itself. So when you change the sentences from simple to complex, you have to see whether it's that way, that there is one independent clause and one dependent clause. And then again, what is compound sentence? Compound sentence is that in which both the independent clauses are there. There is no dependent clause. Two independent clauses are joined by a conjunction. It may be but, it may be and, it may be so. So there are some conjunctions with which you just attach the two sentences, two independent clauses together. Now another is assertive sentence. What is an assertive sentence? It's simply stating something. I am a good girl. Or the sun rises in the east. Like it states a general idea, a thought. I love to eat noodles, your thought. Or a habitual action. I do exercise daily. Just a statement which may have a scientific fact or a universal truth or anything like that, a general idea that you are just stating, and it has a full stop at the end. Now, as example, we can say, I have given you two examples because assertive sentences, they have the positive, assertive and negative. Rahman plays football on every Sunday. So that is a thing that Rahman does every day, on every Sunday. So it's a statement from him. Now when we do it in the negative way, it's Rahman plays no other game other than football on Sundays. So here we bring in the no. So if he only plays football, that means he plays no other games. So only football has been changed into negative by explaining no other game other than football. So these are in short the explanations of the sentences. You will practice at home. You will ask your teachers if you have any problems. But the key to learning good grammar, as in arithmetic or in maths, is you have to practice. And practice will make you perfect. And if you are perfect in doing grammar lessons well, you will improve your constructions. So students, please have a good time with grammar. Then another writing skill exercise that is given is writing a summary. For writing a summary means a passage will be given to you and you have to condense it or you have to shorten it down and write the main theme in short, cutting out the parts which are not of much necessary to the theme of the passage. So how do we do that? Keep a pencil in your hand. Read the text thoroughly again and again. That will make you grasp the idea of the passage. Then segregate or separate the text or break down the text into sections. That on reading you will understand whether there are paragraphs, whether there is a certain introduction which tells you of something, and then accordingly, whatever passage you get, you break it down into as many sections as possible. Then you underline the key points of each section. You will need your pencil during the time. So, underline those and highlight any sentences that are important to the understanding the meaning of the passage. And you may leave out those lines which you will see do not contribute to the theme or idea of the passage. Like, if you leave those lines, if you cut out those lines, still the theme of the passage will remain the same. Use your own words. Don't just write down the words those you have underlined from the text. Do not use your own interpretation or analysis. Whatever theme is given, you don't have to add to it. You have to just summarize the process, condense the passage, shorten the passage, keeping the meaning intact. And keeping the meaning intact means your own ideas or interpretations or analysis cannot be used. In this context, I will tell you another thing regarding keeping the original meaning the same. In grammar too, it is very important that whatever instructions are given, you have to change a sentence according to that instruction. But the first and primary thing that you have to keep in mind is the meaning of the sentence should be intact. So even for this, that is important. So a good summary includes only the most important information, and it also includes what is in the passage only. Nothing from outside, no comparisons, and I stress again, no interpretation of your own. So here it's a lovely, we come back to the sea fever again, like seeing the gray surrounding and the dawn breaking from there, and see the white sails of the ship. We all are perhaps having sea fever. So have a nice time, enjoy the text and sail with the author, sail with the poet into the seas, and you will understand it very well. Thank you so much, students. Have a happy learning session.